While this is done, can I just remind all of us time and time again, if the fire alarm sounds, we need to leave by the nearest fire exit. It could be that one, it could be that way, and that we will assemble. Our assembly point will be at the top of the Mill Hill car park, the car park that's used by the staff a lot. Okay, so can I get confirmation that we are live? Thank you, Evan. Okay, pleased to welcome everyone to this meeting of the council. My name is Councillor Peter James, Chairman of the Council for this year, and I'll be chairing the meeting this evening. Our first item on for this meeting is the apologies for absence, and we do have some. We have apologies from Councillor Pollock, Councillor Worrell, Councillor Rickman, Councillor Gare, who's in hospital, wish him well, Councillor Michael Rickman, who I wished good health to last time, and again we wish him all the best, and Councillor Sarfas. And we also have a late one, Councillor Anderson. So if we can record those as apologies. Are there any other apologies that I may have missed? No? Okay, thank you very much. Just some reminders again. Please, all members, we need to sign the attendance sheet before the meeting starts. If you haven't already done it, we need to make sure you do that. If people arrive after the meeting starts, you will need to note the actual time of attendance, so this can be recorded by Democratic Services. You cannot vote on any business for which consideration has started before your arrival. Hopefully we won't get that. If you have to leave before the meeting ends, you will also need to record your time of departure, please, so that Democratic Services can keep the records, okay? So we move to item 2 on the agenda, which is a declaration of members' interest. Do we have any, please? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Just like to confirm I did assist in the petition efforts on item 7.
Thank you, Councillor Woodywis. Any more apologies? No? Yeah, would you clarify? Would you need a clarification from a legal officer?
I felt it helpful just to clarify that there might be other members in the room who have signed the petition for the community governance review. Because the petition has to be accepted, that does not preclude you from taking part in tonight's decision when it comes to the terms of reference for the community governance review.
Thank you, Leah. And if I can just again take the opportunity to remind councillors to make sure that our register of interests are up to date. I hope mine are. I mean, again, we do get changes, don't we, in our lives and businesses. So please make sure that your register is up to date. And any new or amended interests are reported to our monitoring officer. Right, we now come to item 3 on the agenda, which is the minutes of the last council meeting held on the 10th of November. And my announcement is the council in agreement that the minutes of the ordinary meeting on the 10th of November 25 are an accurate record of the meeting, and can they be signed as a true record? A question there? Councillor Knowles.
Move, Chairman.
Thank you, Leader. Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Okay. Okay. Okay, we accept those as true record. I'm quite happy to sign those now if we want to do it now. Or later. We'll do it now. Let's do it now. Sit down. Who wants to get in? Right, item 4 on the agenda is my announcements. I'll try and be brief on that, but it's so busy. I realise it's possible to live on mince pies actually with the, for the last couple of weeks going around all the councils and places. but I've done 9 visits, I think, and I'll just mention 1 or 2. The Christmas light switch on at Market Harbour was a great event. Also, we had the Harbour Poet Laureate and Junior Poet Laureate at the Harbour Theatre 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was also really interesting. We seem to have a lot of people interested. It's a very interesting day with some of the poetry and some of the presentations there. And then the other one that was really good was the Christmas Tree Festival at Dionysus Church. If any, I don't know whether that is still running, but there were 41 Christmas trees all around the church. Absolutely beautiful. I opened that. It was very popular. And I think children were allowed in there free. If the adults were there, it was a ticket price. And I know that the church has made quite a bit of money by having that. It was their first one, and it was a real attraction, the Christmas Tree Festival. And I must say also today we have the tapestry. You all know the tapestry down in the foyer of the council chamber, and we had a celebration today because it's 25 years since that tapestry was made. It took them 3 years to make it. Started in 1997. It was there for the millennium for 2000. I can remember it when I was officer here when that was going on, and we had 9 people who are still with us, thankfully, who celebrated 25 years of that tapestry. We had a very nice afternoon. We spent some time looking at that tapestry and seeing what has changed in those 25 years. It's very little that's changed, although the locomotive on the railway was completely out of date now. It wasn't the current one. And they were really pleased. Some of those people had not worked on that 25 years ago, and not met up for a long time. It was a lovely afternoon to spend some time with them and learn about that tapestry. I've been supported on other events by Vice Chair, Councillor Anderson, he attended Blaby on my behalf, I think, because we've had some clashing. And finally, I'll just say again that it is our council's civic carol service tomorrow evening. It's being held at the Methodist Church. Starts at 6 o'clock. There are a few spaces left. I mean, I think we've had a good response from that. We're going to have the Market Harbour Choral Society giving a performance, and we're going to have Little Bowden School, of which I'm a governor, their children doing a carol service, and it's their first live performance. They've been practicing and practicing, so I'm looking to that. So if anyone's got any time tomorrow between 6 and 7, everyone is welcome, your family, your friends. And I'm hoping we're looking forward to a good event, and I'm hoping it will raise some money for my charity, Smile the Faith. Okay, thank you for that. All the introductions. We now move to item 5, and which is the report, one of the reports. I'm going to ask the leader to actually present that to us. Item 5 on the agenda. Now, I must give another announcement. The leader has requested that he's just this evening is not in the best of health, or one of his legs isn't. So he's requested that he remains seated. I'm quite pleased to agree to that, Councillor Leader. And I hope it helps your recovery.
Chairman, you're very gracious, and I do like the way you put that. I think it was very delicately put. Yeah, certainly I'm not going to be playing football for the rest of the season by the time.
Sorry.
Chairman, I'm happy to give the final leader statement of 2025 and what a year it's been. I will start by mentioning a few highlights of the year for me, and in no particular order. We've purchased over 133 acres of land to ensure we have the ability to develop a depot as needed, and with the added bonus of being able to create a legacy for generations to come. A brand new public open space whilst restoring nature, and I'll come back to this a little later. We have met parish councils regularly throughout the year, hearing their issues and trying to resolve their problems. That's part of our role, and we are doing it. We plan to continue meeting them, listening and helping where we can. We are delivering community projects in every corner of our district through the Community Grant Scheme, the Ward Member Grant Scheme, and a range of other funding pots. We are enabling community groups, enhancing community facilities and increasing participation. This year we have awarded over £1 million to our valued parishes and community groups. our communities are getting investment and support. We have watched our youth council go from strength to strength. They have discussed the corporate plan priority. They have given their input on the local plan. They have had their views heard on matters such as the National Youth Strategy and local government reorganisation. They have been on the judging panel for the Young Person of the Year award. They have worked on environmental matters, had their say on skills and opportunities for young people in the district, and are continuing to work with the economic development team. They have decided how they would like to spend £10,000 of UK SPF allocated money, collaborating with Speak Out magazine on a youth council logo competition. And now they have a leadership team made up of a chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, media and communications officer, and outreach and inclusion officer, who will continue to shape the youth council and make it their own. Young people are our district's future, and we have invested in them. We continue to value our residents through the annual community awards and also our annual sports awards, two great events that celebrate our volunteers and what they contribute to Harbour of the district. I'm so pleased we continue to rotate these around too, with both being in Lutterworth this year. I could go on, but I want to thank all members for their contributions, and I hope you will join me in thanking all staff for facilitating the work. We do have a great team of staff, and they are working hard for us and for our communities. A few more matters to relate. The rewilding tree planting is happening this Friday at 11 a.m, and all members are invited. The Lord Lieutenant will be planting the tree on behalf of King Charles III, which will be a significant moment for the scheme and allow 2025 to be remembered as the year it started. The draft terms of reference have been circulated to Councillor Wellband, and I look forward to welcoming Simon and two other members of the opposition onto the working groups as we shape this together. I've said before, we need to get the foundations right, and rushing will not deliver for us in the long term. The details are draft as we look for partners and other stakeholders to help shape the project, and of course the project will report regularly into Cabinet and scrutiny as required. The few members who are constantly criticising and talking down the scheme are clearly not engaging with the wider community or hearing the views of our wonderful volunteers. I have said this scheme transcends local politics. It's for the whole district, so please let's stop the negativity and recognise at this very special time of year that this is a legacy project from our collective council, a gift from our generation to the generations to come. I met with Claybrook Magna and Clarver Parish Councils last week, and will be meeting with Hollerton Parish Council this week. It is important we hear the issues they are facing in their communities and talk direct. Parish liaison meetings are incredibly important, but visiting them in their parish is just as important. Planning enforcement and fly tipping are both hot topics of discussion. Talking of important matters, I was saddened to hear of the recent death on the tracks near Great Bowden. I do not know the full detail, but I have accepted an invitation to a meeting to enhance the council's involvement in the awful matter of young person's suicide and attempted suicide. We are uniquely placed to act as a facilitator, to bring agencies together and to do what we can, at the very least, to help raise awareness. I must continue to mention local government reorganisation. A big thank you from Harbour District Council to our fellow district and borough councils who have worked so hard across all political colours and so solidly with us to deliver North City South as the best option for protecting and serving our precious communities. I'm pleased to say that Neil O'Brien has agreed to try and seek a meeting with key ministers in Westminster for me and others on the local government reorganisation. I'm very grateful for this. I understand there are no guarantees to it happening, but having Neil on board by way of his support is vital. We also have Alberta Costa on board, and we are trying to get Alicia Kearns MP to meet with us soon to hopefully secure similar support. I want to give a special thanks to Scrutiny, who I feel are now being considerably more involved in forming the council decisions than ever before. Last week's meeting was a great example of discussing a range of matters and making some valuable recommendations to the Cabinet. We have had a scrutiny review, members have been trained in all member sessions, and processes continue to evolve and improve. We are heading in the right direction, and all members can ask for items to be considered through the work plan. Finally, I do want to re-emphasise the debate, not hate, which all group leaders signed up to on behalf of their members, doesn't start and end at the door of the council chamber. Members should realise that the public expect a certain level of respect at all times. It doesn't sit well with the community that they see constant negativity, constant criticism of things the council is delivering. Residents tell me they are bored with it. They want all councillors to be working together for the good of the community. Talking Harborough up, not knocking it down. We all know we have a by-election going on, but with 2 years to go until Harbour District doesn't exist, we really should be rising above the politics now and focusing on what really matters to the people, and that is doing what we can positively for our district and communities and our residents. 2 examples. We all know in this chamber why the local plan isn't as far advanced as it should be. We all know we have accelerated delivery of it to reduce the amount of time we have to suffer speculative development, and we will all be held to account by potentially a recorded vote when we get to considering it in March/April. We've decided and delivered a plan. We can restore our 5-year land housing supply, and we can stop the speculative development which our community wants to do. As for the CCTV cameras, they are all working and are being classified as low risk. We have had bigger issues to focus on than being a couple of traffic wardens short. My inbox is not full of residents wanting traffic wardens in villages, and if it was, then as a member of the county council, there are members of the county council who would have to improve it, and we have always been able to deliver any county council request. There is, of course, a place for all of these discussions. In my view, it is not through the press and social media. So let's remember where I started with this statement and celebrate togetherness, the great things we are delivering, and the focus on what else we can positively deliver for the next 2 years. So I'll finish by wishing all members, all staff, and all residents a very happy Christmas and all the best for the new year. Thank you, Chairman.
Well, thank you very much, Council Leader, for that very comprehensive report. I think we've probably covered about everything we're doing as a council. And I will obviously take questions on that. What I would say in terms of the questions, there's no time limit on it. We don't put a time limit on this, but I would respectfully ask everyone to actually, if you have a question, it relates to what we have in this report. That's my point, really, and that's all we need to do. So I will now ask for questions on this report. I have Councillor Page first, I think.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Leader, for a very comprehensive report. Got a couple of questions on your questions, if I may, please. Under Youth Council, you stated we have watched our Youth Council to go from strength to strength. Now, I've always been a keen supporter on youth councils, but who is we? As a councillor, I would very much like to get involved. I would like to know what they have done and achieved, and maybe at one time in the future we can get a short briefing or a report, and maybe as councillors we can get invited if they're in our area, i.e. if they're in Lutterworth, the Lutterworth councillors get invited, and if they wish to, that they can attend, or wherever else, because that's how it used to work in the olden days. In the same, it was, we collaborated with Speak Out magazine. Speak Out magazine has been around for God knows how long. And I wonder whether, and if we do get, whether we can find out how popular that magazine is, how big the circulation is, and how much money it actually swallows up out of that budget. Then, as a long-suffering councillor, I would just like to thank you for attending a very difficult public meeting at Claybrook Magna and Claybrook Parva. And I think it went down in the end, even so it started off quite hostile, it went down quite well. The next bit, it is on the local plan. Now, it states in the last sentence, we have delivered a plan. we can restore our Fellfield and we can stop speculative development. With all my fingers and toes crossed, I do hope that we can do so, but we still haven't delivered that plan yet. And so I think we should say in there that we are hoping to restore the 5 years housing supply, because I think our residents would very much like that restored as soon as possible. But I think we've got some way to go yet. As for CCTV cameras, I'm very, very disappointed that I did not receive a reply to my question, because so I could ask a supplementary, because the Lutterworth Town Council and some of the residents have asked for details over the status of the CC cameras. And I think Councillor Gare isn't here, and I wish him well, wanted to reinstall the visits, because in the olden days, we could look whether the cameras are working, and the town councillors used to go and have a look because they were extremely concerned. In relation to traffic wardens, I'm pleased we don't get any emails. I do get some, because in some of my areas, when there are no traffic wardens, the 30-minute spots are taken up all day long by some local residents. And so I conclude by joining you and wishing all members, all staff and residents, and in particular all the volunteers, a very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Page. Thank you. And I think now I can call on Councillor Simon Wellbank, who was the next one on the list, I think. Simon?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. And obviously associate myself with your remarks about the tragedy in Great Bowden on the railway. Obviously, very sad situation. Just on the terms of reference for the rewilding project, and we just would like to set you straight there, Councillor Knowles. I haven't yet agreed to join these groups. I only got details of the terms of reference late last week. And I've not had a chance to discuss it with my group yet. It came after our group meeting. So thank you for saying that I'm going to join you, but I haven't actually made up my mind yet. But we will discuss it in the new year. And just on the debate, not hate, I would also like to echo what you say on that. And I agree with you that it can start and end at the door of the council chamber. And I also wonder whether that's also applies to electioneering in the recent by-election. I have here, there is something from the Lib Dems, which basically says, Labour and the Green Party won't win round here. They have no record of action. And I just wonder whether you'd like to reiterate your remarks in this chamber, or whether that indeed is not true. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Wellband. I think the next one to call, Councillor Paul Bremner, please.
If I may, Chair, I'll go back to one thing that Councillor Wellband mentioned, because I think it deserves more attention. Suicide is something that affects our communities. This affects anybody of any age, any background. And I think whenever you have a chance to speak about suicide, it's a good thing, because it raises the awareness. It starts creating discussion. As you know, I've been recently diagnosed with motor neuron disease, and I shared that widely. And I think I use the same principle here, because as I said in the last meeting, I had a friend that committed suicide. So will the leader of the council be auditing the council engagement with the suicide training? That's my question. Second is the comments about your special thanks to scrutiny. And I know the leader values scrutiny. I know that. But could the leader audit when papers come to scrutiny before cabinet? Because I subbed at the last scrutiny meeting, and that wasn't the case. So it would be helpful, I think, for scrutiny and the cabinet to understand when scrutiny is actually engaging with the cabinet, scrutinise. I know there's been some comments from other members that we all scrutinise, but that's the mechanism of account to the cabinet. And I just want to know whether the leader will audit when papers come to scrutiny first and then to cabinets, or whether that's breaking down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bremner. And now I have Councillor Simon Goldham, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Before the comments about festivities and Christmas, and thank you also for providing the refreshments and mince pies. Very, very good for Christmas. I wanted to pick up on one particular paragraph in the leader's statement regarding the local plan, because we actually had quite a positive meeting of the local plan advisory group last week, where we had the housing structure. You can see from that exactly what will happen when hopefully we will adopt the local plan, because the only way out of the situation that we're in with speculative development is to get a local plan in place, to get the housing numbers back down to just over 500 that we have to deliver per year, and get back control over speculative development. And to that end, I was quite disappointed, not surprised, but disappointed that within a few hours of the advisory panel, Councillor King, and I think supported by Councillor Wellban, had taken to social media to say this was the fault of the coalition. I'll be coming to a question. Don't worry about it.
You need a question, Councillor.
Yes. And you were seeking in that to suggest that it was the fault of the coalition. Now, you've not explained why that is, but the reality is that those changes that the leader set out in his report, and I agree with what he said, are because of the government's changes to the 5-year, to the National Planning Policy Framework, and indeed to the government's ambition to deliver 1.5 million houses. And the December 24 changes increased our requirement to over 700. Those are the reasons. And I don't know why, Chairman, they're seeking to suggest otherwise. So my question, through you, of course, Chairman,
Thank you.
is perhaps they would like to explain that. But my fundamental position as the portfolio holder is to say that the way forward is to get the local
Point of order. This is
over the
questions to the leader, not to a member.
It's a question to the leader. It's
You just addressed it to the councillor.
all right. That's it. So, thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Goldham. Thank you. Councillor King here. With a question mark, but I think I'm right.
Chairman, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to answer silly things like that. That's just there's a lot I could ask the leader. I thank him for his report, and I hope he's feeling better soon. And like others have said, obviously any tragic death of a young person or anybody in that way is absolutely horrendous for their family and relatives. And obviously we all need to be mindful of those things. But what I wanted to just ask the leader about is, in your remarks, and I hope you don't mean it like this, but I sort of interpreted what you said about a couple of traffic wardens short. Well, it's not too short, is it? It's actually 6 full-time equivalents out of a complement of 13 full-time equivalents. So it's not 2. And your inbox might not be full of residents complaining about traffic enforcement, but mine has quite a lot of residents complaining about the lack of activity. And the problem is, as we discussed earlier this year at a previous council meeting, not enough staff, and Councillor Woodywis answered my question when he said, yes, we're recruiting more people. And it turns out we've recruited those people and they've left, and you're now back down to where you were. So that's a problem. It's not just a problem here, it's a problem across the whole of Leicestershire, because you're operating, Harbour operates the contract on behalf of the county council. I'm not here talking on behalf of the county council. So what I wanted to say, ask Councillor Knowles is, this is an important local issue in my district ward. So I'm very happy, if you wish, to send all the emails I receive about this to you as a leader, and you can answer the reasons why there is no effective parking enforcement of double yellow lines in Kibworth and in other parts of Leicestershire. And I'll share that with my colleague if that's what you wish me to do. But I'd just like you to clarify if that's what you'd like us to do before I start inundating you with the emails that I receive at times, very vitriolic ones from residents who are very cross and angry about the fact there is a perceptible lack of anybody doing anything about it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, councillor King. Any more questions? No more questions. Okay, councillor Knowles, we've listed a lot here, so we'll try and help you if you need help on that. Would you like to respond to this this list?
I'm happy, Chairman.
You may remain seated to do.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the Youth Council, in answer to Councillor Page, our officers who attend these meetings have relayed onto me quite a considerable amount, as of one or two other members who've been there as well. I have absolutely no problem in extending the invitation to members to come along to those meetings. I think it's a good thing. It's important we engage with the younger members of our community. So no difficulty with that. I'll speak to the officers after the meeting and find how we can best make that work and how best we can involve all members who want to come along and participate in the meeting and get involved. Speak Out magazine, again, I don't know the answer to that one. I'm not going to say I do, but we'll certainly will find out. Playbrook, it was a pleasure. A very interesting evening. A lot of people there. And I was delighted to be the first leader that's been there to meet with them and to talk to them and importantly to listen to them. So as far as I'm concerned, as I said on the evening, I'm more than happy to come back. I will come back as soon as I'm invited and as soon as we have the information to hand. It will be, obviously we'll copy to your good self and then it will be sent through to Claybrook. The CCTV question, it is here to answer your question tonight. So there is a response to your question here. This is the leaders' report. Separately are the questions. And what I have done this evening on the questions, because I'm sure you don't want to sit and listen to me speaking all evening, I've had a word with some of my cabinet colleagues, and where these fall into areas which they are responsible for, they will put the answer forward on the cabinet's behalf and on my behalf. So you'll get a mixture on that when we come to that part of the discussion. The traffic wardens, well, I will say, I think that was a phrase used, traffic wardens. I think we will say one thing on that, and this answers Councillor King as well on it. The county direct, and we have to prioritise to answer that direction. So I would suggest a good course of action is to go back and talk to the county. And I'm sure our officers are doing their best to try and discuss with the recruitment side of our operation to get as many people in as they can. And I'll make the same offer. I've been to Kibworth. I've met with the parish council there. I'm more than happy to come back. I'm more than happy to discuss it and very interested to see what we can do. But I'm not going to make any guarantees that we can't obviously, give answers to and hope that we will get a response. Councillor Wellband mentioned the terms of reference. No, I accept what you're saying, but the offer is there. This is not a scheme from the coalition. It's not a scheme from this side of the chamber. This is a collective scheme for the whole council, because in years to come, when people look at this, they'll be looking at this as a scheme provided by Harbour District Council. And it's as simple as that. So you and your colleagues are more than welcome. And that invitation is issued genuinely. The debate, not hate, yeah. And I will say one thing. I don't write the leaflets. You run the election campaigns. The coalition are doing an excellent job in this chamber, working extremely well together, delivering for our communities. I'm very proud to look at our record for the last 2.5 years. I'm very happy to compare it to what the previous administrations and the Conservatives achieved in almost 20 years. And I will say ours is streets ahead. So I don't think I need to go into any more detail on that. Councillor Bremner, an extremely brave man who has spoken out honestly and knows he has the support of everybody in this chamber, as do his family, with the motor neurone disease. Suicide is not something that anyone would ever take lightly. Anyone whose family has ever been touched by it or somebody who's attempting suicide knows exactly how important this is. I will certainly be looking at the auditing of the suicide training, and, you know, looking what more we can do to ensure that we as a council offer as much support as we possibly can in those areas. I think it's vitally important. When we talk about scrutiny, I'm very pleased and very proud of what scrutiny are doing. There's still work to be done, we know that. It is not always possible to get something to scrutiny before it goes to cabinet. That would be absolutely ideal if we could. But we are certainly striving to make that happen. It's something we're working with our officers on, and we're very well aware of the benefits of it. And I do pay tribute to what the scrutiny panel did, because certainly we had Councillor Finan along to the cabinet presenting on behalf of the cabinet, on behalf of the scrutiny to cabinet, and it was important because we have to listen to those views, and I was very, very pleased to see him there. As far as it goes with what Councillor Gorton said, I agree with his question and answer accordingly. We have been put in the position where we have to achieve certain goals by the Westminster government. We are striving to achieve that. We have a very important local plan consideration in undertake, and we should be aware that only because almost 2 years ago to the night, I think it is, or 1 year ago to the night, we signed the duty to cooperate in this chamber, and by doing that, it saved 2,500 houses on this current local plan. Otherwise, we would be looking at 2,500 more homes that we have got to facilitate. And what I will say, Chairman, in my final remarks on this, is we also should say, well, I wouldn't say exactly happy birthday, but happy job day to our Chief Executive, because it's the anniversary of your employment in the last few days, 2 years with the District Council. So thank you, John, for the last 2 years, and didn't want to miss the anniversary, so I thought I'd better just mention that. I hope that covers everything, Chairman. If there's anything I've missed, please tell me, and we'll make sure that we get back with the information.
Well, thank you for that, Councillor Lee. But actually, I've ticked everything off on the list I'd got written down. I think probably I have given a reply to that. And if I can just make a comment about the suicide situation, because it's so important, or severe illness. And I've had some personal experience of this many years ago. My best man committed suicide many years later, which was quite a shock. And I've had some issues around me more recently, but the most important thing is that it is when someone feels in that situation, illness or suicide, that there's help around, that they can talk to someone and not just keep it themselves. Counselling is so important in that situation. And I say all that because there is a new organisation, which perhaps our officers can explore. It's based in Corby, but it's going to be a Market Harborough activity as well, called the 41 Club, and they are dealing with people who are feeling suicidal and have other concerns in their lives. So I would like the officers to just explore that and see where we go with that. Okay, thank you very much for that. Thank you, everyone. Right, and we're now going to move on, which is the questions from members. And we've got quite a lot of questions, which is a good thing. So what I think we're going to do, we have a number. I'll ask each member to read out their question, so we're absolutely clear, and then the leader or the relevant portfolio holder will provide the answers. The member will then be able to ask a supplementary question, and the portfolio holder, etc., can reply. Now, we do have a time limit on this, and that it's 15 minutes, Leo, isn't it, the time limit? So we've got a lot of questions. If we run out of time, then really we can give a written response later. I think that's probably the best way of dealing with it. Yes, Councillor.
I'd just like to clarify why the procedure for answering questions has been changed from the procedures that have been previously adopted by this council. I know it may say something in the constitution, but previously, procedurally, answers have been provided to those who ask questions before the meeting and other councillors in writing, so that supplementary questions can be formulated and asked at the meeting. as you just rightly said, only 15 minutes applies to this section. So if therefore the cabinet member has to read out the question and read out presumably the answer as part of the 15 minutes, we're not going to have very long for supplementary questions, if any time at all. So I think this is not right, Chairman, and I think this needs looking at
Right.
very, very urgently. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor King. Let me just confer on that. Yes, I mean, our answer is that we are sticking to the constitutional procedure. Let's see how we go. Let's see how we go. Yes.
Custom and practice of this council has been for years what I've just said, and without notice, it has been changed. Presumably by yourself, Chair, or have the officers changed it for you? Thank you. And I do think Councillor Knowles as leader, I do hope he's going to intervene in this and suggest a different resolution. Thank you.
And can I just get a response from the council leader on this, please?
With all due respect, the officers have looked at this. This is procedurally correct. I'm sure the officers wouldn't tell us we could do something that wasn't procedurally correct. What I will say is, I have no problem, and I'm sure no one else does, if somebody happens to let the clock run on a little bit so that we can actually deliver an answer to all the questions. I don't see any problem with that at all. That's certainly my view on it. But I think we are following procedures, and we I spoke to the officers about this afternoon. And clearly, we are absolutely doing this the right way.
Thank you.
So, said council go beyond 15 minutes.
Right, thank you everyone for contribution. I'm going to use my discretion. We'll make a start and we see where we get to. I don't rule out an extension if we need it. Okay. Right, so we will start with the first question, which has been received from Councillor Peter Scott. If you'd be so kind, Councillor Scott, to read out your question so we're actually clear on it, and then we'll try and get a response. Thank you, Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Chair. It's fine. My question to the leader is, it's now nearly a year since the parish council and the village hall in Great Glen were awarded just under £1 million under an S106 agreement, 15,009 out and 17,00579 out. There then followed a hiatus where the parish council asked a number of questions about terms and conditions and their project. The Davidson's S106 agreement had a spend by date of the 15th of April 2025, which the subcommittee were well aware of. It took until June 2025 for the leader and the Director of Communities and Wellbeing to sit down and talk to the parish council. The parish council felt wrongly chastised for their inaction, and the chastisement was incorrect, as I believe many emails and questions were raised and remain unanswered over that period. The parish council and the village hall are still awaiting receipt of any grant money over 12 months later. In fact, the end of this week is the year anniversary. When can we expect to get a revised deed of variation and receive our grant? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Scott, and I think Councillor Knowles will respond here. Yeah.
Hello, Chairman.
Thank you.
As Councillor Scott is aware, having been advised by officers many times, I am unable to answer this question as it is currently a confidential matter relating to commercially sensitive information. The Chief Executive and I met with you, Councillor Wellband and Councillor Mahal in my office a number of months ago. We fully updated you on the situation and stressed the need for confidentiality, which both Councillor Wellband and Councillor Mahal, as far as I know, I can tell, have respected that completely, and I thank you sincerely both. Officers with my full support have been progressing this matter as quickly as possible, and I'm pleased to be able to confirm that as I write this response, we are very close to a positive conclusion. It has been made very clear from the outset that this is a matter which is confidential in nature until its conclusion. However, despite this, Councillor Scott, you have continued to publicise the details in social media posts and press releases. This is a clear disregard for the promise made in the meeting in front of both leaders and the Chief Executive, and for the standards he should uphold as the district and parish councillor. Furthermore, it could have put the ability to secure funding for the community placing it severely at risk. I think you should consider your position, Councillor Scott.
Right, okay, thank you for that. And I do allow Councillor Scott to have a supplementary question there, really, in response. Councillor Scott?
I had a supplementary question, but in relation to what you've said, the meeting was in September and I was with the two other members present. So I would ask not to go to press about this, but not to discussion of it was allowed. That was what was said in that meeting. There were no minutes taken, so your version of it could be completely different from mine with respect. My supplementary question I was going to ask of you is, can I ask a member for Market Harbour, a great Bowden and Arden, can you please explain how rewilding and the community governance review get moved along so quickly in your ward and other wards appear to be neglected? Is this another case of accelerated delivery, which you referred to in your report just before us? And I think what you've made is an ad hominem approach to the answer to the question. You've attacked me personally. Thank you.
I think Councillor Scott,
Yeah, you can resolve.
Councillor Scott had some assertion or allegation to make about the scheme at Great Bowden. He should put it in writing, and I will be very happy to accommodate that. I'm not prepared to answer any more, Chairman, because this is obviously, as we've said, a matter which is extremely delicate. And as I say, I have spoken to the Leader of the Opposition about this before tonight's meeting, because it was very clear that this was a matter which is commercially sensitive and confidential. And I don't think that it benefits anybody by going any further with this.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to make a comment on this because, we've got a problem here, haven't we, that we've got to resolve, and it's being resolved. All I would say about major projects and major funding like this, you have to have a champion for it to succeed. There has to be a champion who will drive it forward, wherever that person comes from. And it seems as though we're lacking that here. Just a personal comment. All right, thank you. Okay, thank you then. We've had a discussion about that. Right, I have a second question now from Councillor Wellban, please. If you would take us through your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. So my question is, the council will be aware of my long-standing concern about the continued use of CCTV cameras manufactured by Hikvision, a company with known links to the Chinese state. A number of other local authorities have already removed or in the process of removing Hikvision equipment. Security risks are real. Indeed, I have been personally targeted in the past. I first raised this issue with the council in March 2024. Nearly 2 years on, the council continues to say that its CCTV provision is under review. However, we have received no information about the scope or objectives of this review, what progress has been made, or what the council intends to do regarding the use of Hikvision technology. Nor has there been any indication that the council is committed to replacing these cameras, despite the significant concerns associated with them. Please, can you provide a clear and comprehensive update on the status of this review, including its remit, timeline, and findings to date? And can you give a definitive answer as to whether the council intends to replace all Hikvision cameras currently in use?
Thank you, Councillor Wellban. Councillor Knowles, could you like to respond to this?
Chairman, I thank Councillor Wellban for the question. And I will say in advance, if this doesn't cover everything, please let me know and we will pick up any points on this. The concerns relating to the use of Hikvision cameras were first raised by yourself early in 2024, and following this, an immediate review of the risks was carried out. This included looking at the government guidance, writing to Hikvision and seeking security advice from the council's ICT team. All of this work concluded that the use of the cameras posed a minimal risk. Hikvision provided detail and assurances in a letter to the Chief Executive in April 2024, and the government guidance on the local authority procurement supports the information contained within this. The UK government has defined guidance with a clear line on the public procurement for security equipment. It said that whilst their products are banned from use in sensitive areas such as military bases, defence or intelligence, or the central government estate, there is no ban on private, business, local authorities or police stations. It has not banned Hikvision equipment from wider public sector settings, and their cameras can continue to be used and purchased by public authorities, private individuals and businesses. In addition, similar guidance can be found in the new Procurement Act 2023, only recently introduced. Furthermore, the Council's ICT team also undertook a risk review in 2024 and confirmed that they could not foresee any public or security risks. Council is currently committed to replacing cameras as and when they reach their end of life, and is not considering replacing all of them on the basis of the concerns around Hikvision. This would involve a considerable expenditure of public money against what is considered to be a minimal risk level. A review has commenced into CCTV provision across the district, which will consider all elements of the service, such as locations, physical equipment and monitoring, among other things. It is not possible to give definitive timelines for the completion of this review, and it will involve third parties such as town and parish councils, the police and other CCTV management operators who will be consultees.
Thank you, Councillor Knowles. Councillor Wellborn, would you like to ask a supplementary?
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you, Councillor Knowles. I would just say it would be helpful to have this in writing beforehand, as the colleagues have said, so you can crunch the information and ask a proper question. You have said that we'll replace the cameras when it comes to the end of their life. Do we have any idea about when that will be? And the other point that has not been mentioned, it's not just the security risk of these Hikvision cameras, it's also their ethical concerns. They've been linked to some quite serious human rights abuses in China and Tibet. So I'd just like to leave that there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Wellborn. Would you like to respond to that, Councillor Knowles?
I don't have any answers about when they will potentially be replaced, but we'll certainly look at that and see if we can give some additional information and come back to you on that. And as for the comments about the ethical situation, again, if there's anything that we can put on the table by way of additional information, we'll definitely do this.
Right, thank you, Brad. Thank you for that. So we move on to Councillor Mrs. Councillor Bannister. We're moving too quickly. Okay, well, we have a third written question from Councillor Neil Bannister, and I would like Councillor Bannister to take us through this question, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Listen to the leader. Can the leader confirm whether or not a new statement of common ground regarding the City of Leicester's unmet housing need is being prepared? If so, can the leader indicate at what stage it has reached and the anticipated timescales when the members may see a draft of the proposed new statement of common ground?
Thank you, Councillor Bannister, and Councillor Knowles to respond, please.
Councillor Walton, as a portfolio holder, will.
Apologies, Councillor Goldman. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank Councillor Bannister for his question. So the prepared answer is that weaponising the duty to cooperate and subsequent statement to common ground seems to have been a bit of a theme. 2 years ago to the day, we as a coalition had to sign a version because the Conservatives had left it and would not sign it. That brave decision, as the leaders indicated earlier, saved us 2,500 houses in relation to the draft local plan that's currently under consideration. The subject of a new statement of common ground, there are no confirmed timescales to share with regards to any future considerations. That information would be shared with all members in full at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Councillor Goldman. Councillor Bannister, would you like a supplementary there?
Yes, I do have a supplementary. I am getting of an age where my hearing isn't quite as good as it used to be. So I'd be very grateful if you could email me that response in due course, Councillor Galton. My supplemental question is, will the portfolio holder please give a summary of the latest meeting of the members advisory group? We did have an assurance some time ago that this council would receive details of when MAG did meet and a summary in absence of any minutes, would be provided. So if the portfolio holder could give us a summary of the last meeting of MAG, I'd be grateful.
Thank you, councillor Bannister. Councillor Bolton, give us.
Yes, happy to do that. It has not met for 6 months at least, probably more. There is a planned meeting of it early in the new year. But the reality is that the changes to the planning system nationally that have been going on have not been seen through in terms of what the role for MAG is in the future, coupled with local government reorganisation. It just hasn't been taken forward. So there is a planned meeting in the new year, and I've previously indicated within the terms of confidentiality of that, where I'm happy to update members after that meeting.
Thank you both very much. And at that, I'm going to move to the fourth written question, which is councillor Mahal. And if you'd like to read your question, councillor Mahal, that'd be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, could you please explain how the car park charges changes were communicated to the public? At the moment, the cashless machines are not working and shoppers are confused. How is the process going to work, and how are we to ensure it will be a smooth transition, especially in the busy shopping period this Christmas? And was this a prudent investment for this council, and was this the best timing?
Thank you, councillor Mahal. Councillor Knowles to respond.
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. And again, this doesn't answer any question. Got a question, please come back to me. This response is being drafted. The installation of the new machines is very nearly complete. So far, we have received many positive comments about how much easier and faster the payment sheet machines are to use compared to the old machines. On the 17th of November 2025, a briefing note was sent to all councillors, which provided full details of the communications plan. Information was provided to the public in a form of an information on the website, press releases, social media information, a how to use video, and notices on the machines themselves. The timing of the installation was managed to ensure that the works would be completed in time for the peak Christmas shopping period, to ensure a better shopper experience for residents, visitors and businesses. The replacement of the machines is considered to be a very prudent investment. The old machines were reaching the end of their life and were unable to support the impending withdrawal of 3G telecommunication services.
Thank you, councillor Knowles. Would you like a supplementary there, councillor?
Thank you. I understand what you say, but I don't think it was very inclusive on the day that I was there, because it wasn't very obvious that there was other alternative machines there, and the one that I was able to see, it wasn't even functioning. That's the specific problem that I came across that day. But just this gone weekend, though, presumably there was free parking in the lead up to Christmas, but I got a phone call to say that somebody was charged £7.50, which is the top rate, on a tap and go. And I think that's really unfair for shoppers coming up to Christmas to be, given a sort of £7.50 charge in a statement that they probably won't see at this point, but possibly later on. And they'll be quite shocked to see that later on with their statements coming to them.
Thank you, councillor Hall. Would you like to respond?
I would, Chairman. I mean, first of all, if there's an issue with the machine, I would be really pleased if you could let us know which car park and when this was. And the same for this £7.50 charge. You can again let us know that, and we'll ask office to take a look at it and see what we can possibly do. If the person can come forward and relay this to us, because obviously if we've had teething problems, we need to address them. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, councillor Knowles. Now, I've been advised that we are a bit over the 15 minutes, but we're going to carry on. There's no way I could stop now, really. I think Councillor Mrs. Page has several questions. We'll take them. We're okay time-wise, aren't we? So we'll take them one by one. Councillor Mrs. Page, and would you like to read out your first question?
Thank you, Chairman. And as all of the answers to the questions are already written out and the leader and all the portfolio holders have got them, I don't think why that could not have been circulated because it would have been time saving and prudent. So my question as it stands in front of you and, just read out the answer and then I'll see.
Okay, Chairman, Councillor Beadle is going to answer this on behalf of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Mrs Page, for your question. Regarding the CCTV. So CCTV cameras are installed in a number of locations across the district, as you say, including Dr. Market Harborough. The video feed for these is sent to a number of monitor screens, which are located in the room used by the Lifeline team, which is on the second floor of the building. It's a secure room due to the strict regulations surrounding access to CCTV footage. It's predominantly in place to protect confidentiality and personal information. The room is staffed 24 hours a day by Lifeline staff. The camera footage is not and has never been actively monitored in terms of being watched by a dedicated staff member at all times. However, the footage is live streamed in the room and recorded, so it can be accessed by the police and other partners if requested. The cameras are all in working order. The maintenance contract is in place for their repair should this be needed. Current provision is considered to be the most cost-effective method of delivery for the service requirements. However, there is a review of our CCTV service underway, and this will be brought to members for input for consideration in due course.
Thank you for that comprehensive reply. Councillor Page, you like to respond to that?
Thank you very much.
You're okay with that? Okay, lovely. Thank you. We have another question.
Okay, I'll read this out
Yeah,
because
quickly.
there are members of my community looking forward to the reply. The annual monitoring report is required and also forms a basis of the local plan. The HDC website shows that the last annual monitoring report was in 22-23. Would you please be so kind and advise me of the status of the current annual monitoring plan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Galton will answer.
I'll call on Councillor Galton to give reply to this, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Thank Councillor Page for her question. The answer is that there's no statutory requirement to publish an annual monitoring report and AMR. However, some updated information has been released recently since the AMR was published in 22-23, such as the 5-year housing supply 24-25, which is available on our website and through a link. The council does intend to continue publishing an annual AMR. The draft AMR for 23-24 and 24-25 is currently subject to internal review before being published on the council's website shortly. The reason for the two reports coming forward together at this time is because the local planning service have prioritised and focused their team and resources on the preparation of the new local plan.
Thank you, Councillor Galton. Would you like to respond there, Councillor Page?
Thank you for that, Councillor Galton. And what does shortly mean? And I'm looking forward to the two reports. So,
Councillor
I
Galton.
don't have a specific date, but early in the new year.
Thank you, Councillor Galton. And I think we can move to another question from Councillor Mrs Page.
yes, and this is another good one. So, could the leader please advise me on the status of the additional services to be implemented on fly tipping, and will this council introduce a higher penalty charge for fly tippers? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs Page.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Woodywis will answer.
Councillor Woodywis, please.
Thank you,
Fly
Chair.
tipping.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Mrs Page, for the councillor, the question. The answer here is the provision is being made within the draft 26-27 budget to enable delivery of an additional fly tipping response service. This will commence as soon as possible following the council consideration of the budget in February. As part of the budget process, there is also a proposal to increase the fly tipping penalty charge from the current £400 to £1,000, which is the maximum amount possible. Excuse me. The details of the enhanced service are still being finalised, but are expected to include the following: A fly tipping quick response team to be established with potential remits as follows. Fast response to fly tip reports out in the field with key focus on the west of the district. Evidence collection and assessment. Specialist training. Fast collection of Womble bag reports following our valuable and appreciated Womble weekend midweek activities. Ad hoc fly tip litter collections from laybys, rural roads and routes drive-bys. District-wide resource service, but information informed by reports data, reporting in and taking instruction from HDC staff. To be available for flood climate resilience activities, deployments and any other related duties as required as part of a wider community response team. This will be delivered via the recruitment of an additional officer and purchase of an additionally appropriately sized vehicle.
Thank you, Councillor Woodworth. Would you like to respond there?
Thank you very much, Councillor Woodworth. Looking forward to the implementation, and I suppose my next question is also to you. If not to the leader, would the leader please be so kind to advise me of any changes to the mechanical street cleaner in Lutterworth and surrounding areas? So when will I see one?
Thank you, Councillor Page.
Councillor Williams.
Thank you. Ready to go.
As you're aware, the mechanical sweepers are in the process of being delivered, but the answer is there have been no changes to the street cleaner schedule or route since the commencement of the current contract in 2016.
Thank you, Councillor Woodworth. Councillor Mrs. Page.
Thank you very much. As there are no changes, could we possibly see an introduction of mechanical street cleaners in the rural villages and the town of Lutterworth?
Thank you for the supplementary. So I'll refer to officers, but you are aware that we can only street clean where there are curbs. So if there's no curbs, we can't actually sweep because the sweepers don't work.
Thank you. Do we have another question, Councillor? Well, have you, oh, you sneaked them both. Yeah, I see what you've done now. Yeah. Oh, well, good. Are you're satisfied with all the questions, most of the answers? Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. You will get it, hopefully. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we move to item 7. One of our main reports, isn't it, really? I am going to call upon Councillor Beadle to present this report. Who I think is proposing it.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, here we are again. So it's yes, may feel like deja vu tonight to members. It's the issue of a community governance review is before us again, following the decision that was taken here in October not to press forward with a whole of district review. Given the criticism and concerns at the time that there was not sufficient public interest to take this forward, I am delighted to see that our neighbourhood forums have worked together, petitioners to move forward in looking at whether to have a parish or town council for Market Harborough. And in just a few weeks, they have garnered the support of over 1,800 local electors. I think all of us in this chamber should congratulate the forums on their hard work in order to achieve this outcome. It's a true demonstration of local democracy in action. What this means is that we're now bound to undertake the review. It will go ahead. What we need to do tonight is to agree the terms of reference. The proposals in the report include an initial 3-month consultation between January and March, extraordinary council meeting potentially on the 4th of May to determine whether or not to have a new council. If we decide to move forward, we will then have a second round of consultation on the details involved before making the final decision in September. The review will be supported by a small working group to help advise officers on the programme of work and options coming forward, but ultimately it will be council that makes the decisions. Officers are hopeful that if the work progresses as envisaged, any changes proposed would be able to come into effect for 2027. Which aligns any elections with the other parishes in the area and ensuring we have a year to support the new council to get up and running effectively before Harborough District Council comes to an end. Having seen so many people engage with the position, I very much hope that people do engage in this process and provide us with their thoughts, whether that be concerns they have or whether they see opportunities that the new council may bring. I therefore propose the recommendations in this report. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Beadle. Do I have a seconder for this report? Councillor Knowles, yes. Or seconder?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I reserve my comments, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we have before us is a very powerful, really, residents petition, isn't it? And the report explains what we have to do, really, as a result of that. So we throw this open then now. We have a proposer and a seconder, and we have people wishing to speak. And the first speaker is Councillor Welburn.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you. I just want to clear something up because there's been a lot of talk on social media about our group stance on this, and we will not stand in the way. If the local community wants to have a town council, we're perfectly happy with that. We just want an honest debate about it. And our position at the last meeting was that it wasn't the right time. So just to make that clear. I would like to make 3 amendments to this report, if possible, which hopefully we all agree with. First, it is regarding the timeline of this review, and I think it's on page, where are we? Can't move to find it. Here we go. On page 24, and the preliminary stage is due to take place between the 17th of December and the 2nd of January, where there's supposed to be some awareness campaign ongoing. But quite frankly, it's not the right time to be doing that when nobody's paying attention due to Christmas. So I would like to propose that that is moved to January. I think that's a sensible proposal. My second amendment is regarding the committee that's going to be set up through the terms of reference. Currently, there are 3 members. I would personally like to have more, 5 or more, to make it politically balanced. I don't think you can achieve that with 3, and I think it's a good thing to have more engagement from more members. So I just don't think 3 is enough. And my final amendment to this is, if the committee's final recommendation is for a parish or town council for the unparished area of Market Harborough, that recommendation is put to the public in a referendum, so that all electors of the unparished area of Market Harborough get a say on whether they want to have this or not. That is the most democratic way of dealing with it, and it engages the whole of the town of Market Harborough, the whole of the unparished area. There is precedent for that. There have been other areas that have, in the districts, that had referenda, and I think it's the most fair and democratic way for the people to have their say, if that is the proposal, and if they want it or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Welburn. It's very clear. You okay there, Leo?
That will be the basis amendment. I appreciate clarifying 2 points on the proposal.
Would you like to do that now? Yeah, if I can ask a legal officer to give us a comment there.
Thank you, Councillor Welburn. So I just wanted to clarify some points on each of those amendments. I do appreciate the amendments need seconding as well. So in terms of the initial phase, it may be helpful if I say that's primarily to enable us to do some work to support and launch on the 2nd of January. So I do appreciate there's references to some soft work, but in practice, it's more internal steps that we're taking. So if we did push that back, would that mean you'd want everything else in the timeline pushed back 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. To everything else in it. Okay. The terms of reference, say proposing 5 or more. If it's 5, we'd therefore have 3-2 on the political balance. Would you be proposing that too?
Should it depend on what happens in the by-election later in this?
Okay, so if you give me delegated authority to apply the political balance it stands for in the by-election.
Fine.
And to work with group leaders on that.
Yeah.
And then to have a referendum. So I'd expect the minimum costs of a referendum, I know this sounds a lot, to be approximately £50,000 because of the postal voting issue if we did a referendum. So a budgetary commitment, and I appreciate the Section 151 officer may have a view on this, of £50,000 to support a referendum I'd need to have in place.
Okay, thank you very much for those points. And now we have councillor.
Have that seconded.
Oh, we need a seconder now. We need a seconder. Okay. Councillor King then?
Chairman, I'm happy to second those amendments by councillor Wellband, and I'll reserve my comments, if I may, Chair. If that's okay. Thank you.
Councillor got that?
We've got lots of members waiting, so we need to move to debating the amendments as proposed.
Yes, so we're going to debate the amendment, yeah? Yeah, okay.
So
Right. Any
Knowles,
comments?
Graves and Austin need to speak. On the amendment.
Right, let's get the order right, yeah.
Knowles and Graves
Yeah,
on the amendment.
okay. Okay, thank you. Right, I'm going to call.
Graves first.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Second.
councillor Mark Grace. I can't see him. He's behind the pillar. Yeah, okay, we've got you. Okay. Councillor Graves.
Thank you, Chair. I
You
think
have the floor.
my hand might have been hidden behind the column
Yeah,
between
both hands were, I couldn't go wrong.
me and you. Thank you. So I believe I'm addressing the proposed amendments from Councillor Wellband.
Yeah.
I think that's completely fine. I was going to just carry on from that on the main, but that my comments are equally valid. Councillor Austin and I were just having a very brief chat on recommendation point D. And then Councillor Wellband raised the point about concerns over the advisory committee being 2 and 1, which we shared. So subsequently, we were going to make that point. I think our comments have potentially been overcome by the suggestion of political balance rules, which would really trump any other suggestion we had. If it's political balance rules, I think we'll leave it at that. But I just wanted to say we had a joint concern over the 2 and 1 numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Grace. And I think I now have councillor Knowles to respond back.
Yeah, Chairman, just speaking to the amendment, I've absolutely no problem with it being 5, 7, whatever. It's such an important issue, and we have to make sure that it is debated and considered properly. I would welcome some more information from the 151 officer and the monitoring officer on the £50,000 for this referendum, as to what the alternatives are, if they are worthy of consideration. If we've got to go down the route of a referendum, fine. But if there are other alternatives, I think as we're doing this tonight and we're considering the way forward, and we are hopefully going to push this forward. And I'll speak more. We'll come back a little later on to the other bits and pieces. But I think, to be quite honest with you, Chairman, I think if we've got any alternatives, I would really welcome them all being put on the table this evening, so that we can have a good debate about all of them.
Thank you, councillor Knowles. We have another speaker. We have councillor Mrs. Page, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I think it is only too fair to give the residents of Market Harbour a referendum, because I believe that all of the people who live in the town should be asked and give an opinion, because at the end of the day, I know myself, with my other hat on, I am attending Lutterworth Town Council on a regular basis. I do see what a town council brings as well as a parish council. There are additional responsibilities. There are a lot of additional costs. There are staff management. So if the people of Harbour want that, they all have to be asked, because there are implications. And I feel very strongly about that, because we need to be democratically fair, because we don't even know whether these people who signed the petition all live in Harbour. So, well, even if you checked it, that must have been quite a feast. Now, my other thing is, it is the timeline. I know that councillor next to me, Wellband, Blunt Nolan there, yes, said to move it on. Now, I've got a question which occurred to me when I was reading this. The last two boxes on page 25 refer to stage 7 and stage 8. So it says April 27, the new council comes into being. That's great. I'm all for that. And then stage 8, first elections, to the new council. Well, you see, that is 1 month. First of all, you need the timeline for calling the election, etc., which is more than 4 weeks. So then you have to have policy, standing order, somebody who to run that town council. You've got to have staff. So really, I talked to that on the report, but I think state aid needs to be considered to be quite a time off to have that difference, if you see what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, because you can't just have it 1 month later. So if you please consider that with delegated powers, that would be great. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I think they were the people on amendment. I've got people on the original.
You've got, we'd have to vote on the amendment before we move
Yeah,
forward.
sure.
We've got
Yeah,
Councillor
okay.
King on this. Councillor Knowles also mentioned bringing in myself and Clive as statutory officers, but it might be worth taking all questions. Councillor Beadle will get a right response on the amendment, but I'm advising the chair. So, yeah, I'm thinking.
Carry on.
Councillor Beadle will get a right response, but it might be worth bringing in myself and Clive before that, just to take any sort of positions.
Yes, yes. You want to do that now? Yeah.
No, take all comments on the amendment.
Right, okay. Any more comments on the amendment? I think I have. Okay, right. I've got Councillor King here, but you're settled, you're reserved, yeah. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so Councillor Mrs. Asher, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to say, I'd like some information really before we go ahead with this vote on the amendments, is how long would a referendum take, and would it delay it even further? Because we heard from the opposition last time to say that this isn't the right time and it's too soon, etc. We've seen all the dates here. We've heard from the members of the public. They've signed the petition. They've gone out of their way and done a marvellous job to try and get this going. They obviously, you know, the majority of people do want it, but, you know, a referendum could be a good thing to do. I'm not denying that, but if it's going to delay it even more, we could be gone before this is in place, and the time's crucial. We need to get this in place before Harborough goes and when the new council comes in. So that's the part that would worry me, and we really need to have all the facts before us before we can make a vote on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Asher. Yeah, I mean, what we're doing here is a principled decision, isn't it, really? We're not actually at the point of referendum, I don't think, here, are we? Can I get clarification on this? This is that we have an obligation now to move forward and to explore this option. Is that correct?
Maybe if I come in now, so you can move forward and incorporate a referendum into the timeline. We would, if it was agreed by council, look to incorporate it into the initial 3-month consultation. The challenge we have with doing a referendum is that it usually gives you a straight yes, no answer, rather than more qualitative responses, which might aid council making a decision. And a good example of that we've got is the position of Little Bowden and what people within Little Bowden might want to do, and we don't have an answer for that by just doing a straight yes, no referendum on a town council. So that is the risk of doing a referendum, but it is feasible to do and build into the timeline. Now, in terms of the position on the costing and funding, Section 151 officers said to me, if a referendum was to take place before April, which it would do if we built it into the timeline, that'll be funded from reserves. But if it was after April, it would be included in the budget for 2026-27. And if I may, Chair, and I realise I'm indulging you, I just wanted to pick up on Councillor Page's point on the timeline post the 1st of April until the first elections. So for that 5 weeks, the responsibilities of the parish board to the parish trustees, which is the proper office of the district council, who would oversee arrangements until the first councillors were elected. But that could include, for example, employment of staff on behalf of the council, subject to a consultation with an appropriate body. There are established ways of doing this.
Thank you very much. Right.
I did ask if there were any alternatives that might be considered. Well, I don't, I have to
I've got you on the original.
information and well, I didn't realise Councillor Scott was now running the meeting, Chairman.
It's okay. I'm going to come to Councillor Brennan because it's on. we've got
About
Councillor
whether
Brennan
we could get
on the
some
original.
information on the alternatives, which I thought was important because obviously Councillor King, with his moving an amendment, it's worth him having that information to consider as part of it. Because obviously we're all, well, certainly I'm in favour of moving forward with this. We voted in favour of it last time. So, and that's not me preempting my vote. But what I'm saying is I'm very keen if there are any alternatives that Councillor King, Councillor Wellband and everybody in the chamber is aware of them and it's on the table now. So that was the question which hasn't been answered, Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Want to allow Councillor Brennan?
Yeah, I can take Councillor Bremner. Yeah, you're on the list here, Councillor Bremner. Apologies. So
Thank you.
please take the floor.
I'm thinking of the National Student Survey. You can have a consultation with a yes, no answer within it, but don't call it a referendum. And I think a consultation does give you more qualitative information that will inform the council that will be formed. I was a bit concerned that it seemed a bit back to front, 7 and 8. I would have thought you'd have to have the vote before you could form a council, but I think I know what you mean. It's constitutionally first and then you vote anyway. But consultation, it depends what questions you ask. And it shouldn't be long, but it should be informative. And you can have a yes, no answer within that consultation. And if you've got, I'm not being political here, but I'm just going to say it. An election turnout is about, what, 27%, 32% if you're lucky. If you're going to send somebody a vote, what do you think the turnout's going to be on that? But if you promote a consultation with appropriate questions, and I think if you do a consultation, all members should see the consultation before you publish it. As I said, you can have the yes, no answer incorporated into that. And it's not a referendum, it's still a consultation, and you don't pay £50,000 for it.
Appreciate those comments very much. Thank you, Councillor Bremner. Do we have any other comments here?
Helpful if I explained about consultation and versus referendum.
Yeah, please do. Yes, Leah will just give us a bit more detail on the consultation, having prepared this very detailed report. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Chairman, for letting me in. And I think Councillor Bremner is right in that we are planning to do a consultation, and that is how this process has worked elsewhere. But I appreciate there have been referendums too. The consultation is online, but available in paper and so on. We will be actively consulting on that. We've got various means and ways. We'd like to talk to groups and individuals to promote it. And it does ask simple questions and ask for qualitative responses as well, which link up to the criteria the council will have to make its decision on. That's not to prevent us doing a referendum as well, and that will be for council's decision to make. Another option, as Councillor Knowles put forward, is that community groups, other organisations can also seek to do polls, to do referendums as they feel appropriate, as well as just as happened with this petition. So there's nothing to stop other people doing things and submitting the results of that to us as well.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you very much. Do I have any more questions or comments?
So it'd be to write response on the amendment.
Councillor King, I think, wanted to respond here now, I think.
Well, Chairman, I said I'd reserve my comments. I wasn't going to necessarily respond to everything, but what I wanted to say, so first of all, just to say, concur with what Councillor Wellband said at the beginning. So I just, there have been some misconceptions by people, some activists in the community who've tried to make out that I was against a town council. I never said that. I said it wasn't the right time. Be very clear about that. That was my personal view. It wasn't a party political view. Just happened that quite a lot of our group agreed with that. Now, what I'd also like to say is, I think is that one of the reasons why we think this committee should be bigger. There's actually quite a lot of people elected here. I'm not a member of the parish council, but I know several colleagues are. and you have a lot of knowledge and experience of how it works and what works well and what doesn't work so well, if I can put it like that. And that might be helpful in being part of people to be involved in this panel and to bring that experience to bear, or it might not, depending on that. But I think that's really important. So that's why I think the advisory committee needs to be greater than 3 and 5 or 7, whatever the political balance is. We have lots of different groups here, and everyone's got a slightly different view. And I think that's important that they get captured in that way. In terms of what Councillor Wellman said about the timeline, I think, and I heard what you said about preparation and stuff. I mean, that's one thing. Obviously, officers will prepare materials, but I think going out into the public domain, certainly before the new year, it's just going to fall on flat ground because no one's going to really notice it. I mean, you know, next week is Christmas, the week after is New Year. People don't really pay attention to things that come through the door. A lot of people travel around the country, so they don't necessarily see what's happening on the doorstep. So I think it's really important that we don't, shall we say, go too early, otherwise people will miss it. In terms of what we said about a referendum, now you can argue this both ways. You can say, well, lots of people won't be able to respond to the consultation. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I think it's really important that we do, at the very least, give residents in the affected area a choice to decide what they want, rather than it being determined, or the loudest voices who are heard or listened to by us, saying that they think it's a great idea. And it might be, but there could be a lot of people who actually, when they consider all the information that we're going to send them, all the facts and figures and all the detailed information, they might come to a different conclusion. And then they might not be so immured of it, Chair, as perhaps some of the activists in the community are. So I think it's really important we give residents, and ultimately residents of the council taxpayers, who are going to foot the bill for this. One way or the other, there's going to be an additional bill for them to pay. So we have to be very sure that the residents who are going to be footing the bill actually want this to go ahead. It doesn't matter what I think or what Councillor Knowles thinks or any other councillor, because I don't live in Market Harbour, and someone's pointed that out many times on social media, but I did once upon a time, a few years ago, and so I know it very, very well. So I think it is really important. So that's why Councillor Wellband and myself, we come up with these amendments. I hope the leader takes it in the spirit it's intended. We're not looking to delay anything. We're just looking to get the best answer that we can, because we're only going to get one go at this. I think it's really important that we do the best we can by and for our community, as we all do, and that our community has the final say on whether they think this is the right thing for them or not. And that is why they put these amendments forward. So I do hope that all colleagues can support the amendments as in the spirit they were intended, and that we can move forward. And in terms of timing for a referendum, I would have thought actually a perfect timing would have been to kind of try and do it for May, because people are used to having elections. Well, apart from the by-elections that we keep seeming to have every 5 minutes, they are quite used to having elections in May. So that might be the optimum time to try and think about it. But that's something maybe that this advisory group can look at in more detail and then come forward with a kind of more detailed programme of when that ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor King. I mean, I think the important thing is we mustn't lose sight of the fact that we have a petition, a very powerful residents' petition, and we do have to move forward in some way. And I can see some of the merit in some of the amendments. Does anyone else want to speak? And I think Councillor Knowles, it would be good to have a response on the amendments. I'm personally not too clear on where we are with the amendment.
So the mover of the original motion, which was Councillor Beadle, gets a right of reply on any amendments.
Right.
That's the constitutional procedure. So before we take the vote, you need to turn to Councillor Beadle to see if he'd like to respond.
I will. Thank you for that advice. Councillor Beadle, you probably gathered that. So I would invite you to give a response to these amendments that have been put forward tonight.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of the points, thank you, been covered off by the monitoring officer, but clarified some of the concerns and misconceptions, maybe how. Yeah. It's disappointing that some members still seem to be trying to put obstacles and delays in the process. Said your reason for doing so last time was you thought it wasn't the right time, but the groundswell of opinion from the petition sort of shows that it is the right time. We need to respect that and move along with it. The timescales for the preliminary stage is just back office work. It's not going out to the public. It's just getting the stuff ready, getting the awareness campaign ready. The referendum is, I mean, personally, I don't think it's necessary. It's not required under the guidance of the community governance reviews. If it's the will of the council to have a referendum, so be it. It's an expense, but it is a democratic process that we're going through, following the rules under the guidance of the community governance review. And the decision will come to council for us to take that final decision. I would have also thought that following, Brexit, we might have learned some lessons about the dangers of these referendums and how a simple yes, no, and the margins are there. I mean, could I possibly have some clarification from the monitoring officer about the referendum if we were to go down that route? Do we set a threshold? Do we need to set a threshold for participation, for a majority? Got a bit of information on that, please. The issue around the committee, if you want 5 or 7, that's not a problem. We're okay with that. Whatever works best with the political balance. I think that's it. Thank you.
Chair, I'm struggling to hear. I'm sorry. I can't hear what he's saying.
Okay. Yeah, are we okay there?
Chairman, if I may, could we have a name? Can we have a name recorded vote, please, Chair?
All right, thank you. So I want to be absolutely clear. So we're going to be voting on the amendment, which includes a referendum. Is that what we're voting on? Thank you.
Point forward to, let's clarify something what we're talking about, please. In the timeline, I think we're running down a hole here. In the timeline, that December to 2nd of January is nothing to do with the public. It's all internal. It's all preparation. It's nothing to do with the public. So it doesn't affect the timeline. That's a red herring. The referendum and consultation, we're not clear whether you're discussing this as exclusive referendum or consultation, or referendum and consultation. We haven't a clue what we're voting on at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Bremner. We can be clear on what we're voting on. We need to be clear on what we're voting on.
Yeah, I'm not going to the chairman, 5 minutes, so we can try and find out exactly what we are voting on.
Yes, I think that if everyone's okay with that, I think that's probably a good suggestion. Right, quickly, Councillor.
Is it possible to split the amendment? Because there's some things on the amendment that I agree with, like the 5 or 7 councillors. But, the referendum, I don't think we know enough about it and how, if it's going to delay, but, our questions haven't been answered. So I'm not prepared to put in a risk of delaying it even further when the public have put all the effort into getting this done.
Thank you for that. Are we agreed to have a 5-minute break? Okay, because we've got more reports to deal with as well, yeah? Let's have a 5-minute break then. Thank you. Starting now.
Very grateful for the consultation. Thank you very much for the few minutes break. It's been very useful. From our side, we're completely in support of the town council. Our views are well known. Our support was listed. And you know, we're delighted to see the democratic process moving forward. We are happy with the first 2 points that have been listed down. But I think we're safe. We're going to have separate votes on it because as far as it goes, we don't see the need for a referendum. Because at the point of the whole exercise is that the button has been pressed and this is already moving forward. So there really isn't any need to have the referendum. We can engage, we can consult, we can involve, but there really isn't any need to go to the referendum stage on this. That's our opinion. Obviously, you know, other people will have their own views on it. I think the first 2 points we're all in agreement with. It's just whether or not there should be a referendum. I'm sure we've all had the advice from our monitoring officer and got the information on board. So I think from our side of the chamber, that's where we are. But obviously, I think on something like this, it's very much a free vote. And it certainly will be from our side, but that's our view on it.
Thank you very much, Councillor Leader. And I'm just going to call on Leah to be, so we're absolutely clear here. We've got the information there. We have the, oh, it's gone. Oh, it's back. First 2 points. And it's this issue of the referendum. Can you just clarify as much as you can for us, please, Leah, before we vote?
So on the basis of what Councillor Knowles has described, but I appreciate there's a lot of members in the room, the first 2 items we could potentially take as unopposed. And the first of those is to move back the timeline, start no earlier than 12th of January, and then delegate myself to amend the remaining timelines. And then also to determine membership of the Community Governance Review Advisory Committee in consultation with group leaders on a politically balanced basis following the by-election. So those 2 points, unless any member indicates otherwise, Chairman, we could take unopposed. So you might want to check, does any member oppose those 2 items?
So can we take the first 2 items,
Unopposed, yeah.
the timeline and the community governance review? Are we all in agreement with those? There's no need to vote on them.
No, because they're.
Right, okay, we're making
But the
progress.
third item, there clearly from what's just been said, cannot be taken as unopposed. And that is to whether to incorporate a referendum as part of the first round of consultation and commit 50k to fund the referendum. Now, I'm very conscious, Chairman, we also had a request for a recorded vote earlier, so you might want to clarify whether a recorded vote is requested by at least 5 members.
So recorded vote. 5 members, yeah? I think we've achieved that. Thank you.
So, did you wish to move to a vote, Chairman?
Yes, we'll move to the vote then, which refers to item 3 on the TV screen. Okay, so so all those in favour?
Chairman, we've just had the recorded vote requested.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Okay.
So, Chairman, if you don't mind, I will take each councillor in turn alphabetically by surname. Please just turn on your microphone and say whether you're for, against or abstaining, just on the third part, whether to hold a referendum.
Yeah, so important.
Okay, so starting with Councillor Asher.
Against.
Austin.
For.
Bannister.
For.
Bateman.
For.
Beadle.
Against.
Birch.
For.
Bremner.
For.
Burrell.